Man overboard from a pleasure cruiser. That's always trouble. As the closest member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary, I had volunteered to take the call. The boat was the Sea Devil, lying about a half-mile offshore. There were no other craft in the vicinity.
I got your message from the Coast Guard. I'm back now, so I'm in the auxiliary. How long's it been?
How long?
About 5 minutes.
More like 10.
I got into my gear as fast as possible. There's no time to waste in a moment like this. Despite the rough sea topside, it was fairly light below. Currents were so mild down here that there was hardly any movement at all. If a man had tumbled off that boat in the past few minutes, he should be somewhere in the area. I searched in widening circles from the boat's position, hoping to see the drifting man's shape before too much time had passed. No caves or big rock formations. Nothing for a body to catch on. If there was a drowned man drifting around in this area, he was long past any help from me. Interesting. Blair Hardy, all right. Full identification, a wallet full of money. This was supposed to be the clincher, but I didn't like it at all. It was too pat, too neat. The Sea Devil had a nice clean bottom. I guess that's why I looked at it. The hook was shiny, and in a place where no hook ought to be. Strange, it didn't add up to anything that I could understand.
Is he alive?
Well, say something, man. It's a woman's husband.
I'm sorry. There's no trace of him.
He's dead. I know it. Blair's dead.
Do you mind giving me a little information about this, please?
Not at all. What would you like to know?
Well, how it happened?
Well, he was sitting right here, and I was standing where you are. And It happened just as you came out of the cabin, didn't it, Lola?
Yes, I'd been fighting with my sweet sister as usual. I came up for a breath of air. All of a sudden, Blair gave out a scream and grabbed his heart and fell into the water.
Well, doesn't your husband know how to swim?
Yes, he was a very good swimmer. But the heart attack, or whatever it was, must have been the reason why he never came up again. It all happened so suddenly. I don't believe it. I just don't believe that Blair's dead.
I don't see how he could have sunk out of sight when he hit the water like that. Unless he had a weight belt on. Was he gonna go skin diving?
That's his tank.
He had his clothes on, a sweatshirt and a pair of dungarees.
Huh?
He loved to dive. He loved it.
Maybe it was the only place he could find peace. Sorry, sister dear, did I say something wrong?
You are impossible. I don't know why we ever brought you along.
I don't know why either.
What I don't understand is why didn't any of you go in after him? Why didn't you try to save him?
I can't swim.
I can't either. She went in.
By the time I got most of my clothes off and dove in, it was too late. There was no sign of him.
I don't see how a man can disappear like that. So suddenly.
That's what kept bugging us. He never came up once after he hit the water. We kept looking and looking. Nothing.
I better radio this information to the harbor police. You hold your anchorage here until they contact you, huh?
Police, but why? It was an accident.
Just routine, Gwen.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe that Blair's dead.
I got all the particulars from my Coast Guard report. The harbor police would do the same thing when they arrived. The threesome on the Sea Devil hadn't much to add to what I already knew. As I watched them, the strange widow, the bittersweet sister, and the seagoing sailor who hated water, I wondered what their reactions would be if I were to tell them how my report would read. That Blair Hardy might have drowned all right, but not in this bay, and not today.
You Mike Nelson, that right, sir?
Yeah, that's me. Who are you?
My name is George Emerson, Inland Insurance Company. I want some information.
Okay, about what?
You called the harbor police about a rescue attempt in Button Hook Bay.
Uh-huh.
A guy by the name of Blair Hardy, supposed to have drowned. 3 people on the boat, no satisfactory answers. Thorough search of the area, no body. That about it?
That's about it.
There's another line in your report that intrigued me, Nelson. It says that you seriously doubted that anybody could have drowned in that area at that hour without the body being found.
Yeah? Yeah, the visibility was just about perfect. No turbulence, no current, no rocks. Just a nice sandy bottom.
Well, what do you think happened? Do you have any hunch or any theory about this?
Yes, I have.
What is it?
Well, maybe the guy just took a powder. Maybe he wanted to escape from something or somebody. It's happened before, you know.
You don't think he's dead, then?
I don't know. I searched that area thoroughly. I didn't find any body.
I'm a claims adjuster, Nelson. We handle Blair Hardy's insurance. So what you say interests me greatly.
How much insurance did he carry?
$250,000.
Oh, boy, that's a lot of money, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of motive. So now you can see why I was interested in your report. I hope you can help me.
Ah.
I'd like to offer you a retainer to investigate the case.
Well, the harbor police is already working on it. Coast Guard will probably be involved in it. What can I turn up that they can't?
If this case is going to be solved, it's going to be solved underwater. You interested?
Well, I gotta pay for my boat, don't I? Sure.
I had little more to go on than the police at that. Being the first one in the area, then seeing the odd behavior of the Sea Devil trio. This lead was little more than a hunch, but I'd already discovered that the Sea Devil carried one set of scuba, the well-worn serviceable gear that I'd seen on the cruiser's deck. In the scuba shop, I discovered that Blair Hardy had purchased another full set the day before he disappeared. Even an amateur detective would call that a clue. The Sea Devil was still anchored offshore. If I could have known what was going on aboard the cruiser, I'd have been more concerned than ever.
It was Blair's plan. Why should you be upset?
You don't seem to understand what we're up against here.
It's practically all over. When they give me the money, I'll give it to Blair, and then he'll leave me alone.
All over? It's not even started yet. We're not even close to safe as long as Blair's alive.
Lee, don't say that.
You don't like to hear that, maybe, but that's how it's got to be.
You can't mean that. You're joking, aren't you, honey?
Yeah, I'm joking, all right. I mean every word of it.
They'll never find him, and the police are satisfied.
What about that insurance inspector? He'd make trouble for us if he could. We just don't have any choice, Gwen. They want a body, and I'm going to give them one.
Lee, there must be another way. I just can't stand the thought of it.
You said he bullies you, and you're afraid of him.
Well, yes, but this... No, Lee.
Look, I said it before, and I'll say it again. You just don't have any choice. Not if you want a life with me, you don't.
Hey, what's all the muttering about?
Will you quit eavesdropping on people before you get into trouble?
Eavesdropping? Well, I like that. What's the matter with that big hunk of nothing?
Oh, Lola, don't be typical. This is a bad time for all of us. I'm going in and lie down.
I made another swim out to the Sea Devil on a hunch, and I discovered something very interesting indeed. The little brass hook was gone. Now I had something concrete to take to George Emerson. It might have been an accident, but I kept thinking about the drowned man who wasn't drowned, and the little brass hook in the skeg. A nice place to hang a set of scuba gear if a man wanted to fall overboard and not come back.
Just got a call from the Coast Guard. The Sea Devil's heading back in this direction.
Did the Coast Guard say whether the Sea Devil had docked any place yet?
No, it hasn't. And the Coast Guard's had it under constant surveillance. I'm gonna get some help. I may need someone to skip my boat in case I have to go in the water.
I can handle that. I got a boat of my own.
Okay, Skipper. Let's get a heading on that Sea Devil.
For 2 days now, we've been waiting for the cruiser to return to these waters. This was it. I called my Coast Guard buddies, told them to stay clear so as not to scare them off. They were working their way in toward a bad reef section. Their course confirmed what I'd already guessed. They were headed for Castle Reef. I was sure now that Blair Hardy wasn't dead, only hiding out on the reef.
Isn't this dangerous? Full daylight?
It's the only time it's safe. That's why we chose Castle Reef. Surrounded by needle rocks and lava formations. You can't get a boat within 300 yards of here.
Lee, what am I going to tell Lola when she wakes up and finds out you're gone?
We just reached a point where we can't use her as a witness anymore.
Oh, no.
I broke off the contact chase and went around the back way. I knew this humpbacked piece of rock. I'd still have to swim a good half mile because there was no anchorage closer. last, I was only moments away from meeting the man whose name had become familiar to me, though I'd never seen him. I didn't want to get too far ahead of Batten. I knew that I could outswim him, or figured I could. But that would leave Hardy at the man's mercy. I remembered a heavy concentration of seaweed near the outer edge of the reef. If I could lose myself in the heavy stuff and lure him in, I'd have a fighting chance. He was close enough to see me now, keep me in view. But if he saw me too well or got too close, well, that spear gun would settle the issue. It was like fighting in a tangle of man-eating vines. The stuff seemed almost alive, wrapping and holding. It tired us both so badly that neither one of us could fight effectively. After a while, we weren't fighting each other. We were fighting the terrifying clutch of the weed. But it got us, both of us. And the harder we tried to get away, the tighter it choked. 8 little inches from sweet air, 8 inches from life, and the weed clutching like slimy ropes. My air was going. The surface, so close. Wait now. The idea came slowly while my chest began to burn. I could make a snorkel out of my air hose, push it to the surface and breathe. I cut the hose and got it above the water. That wasn't the hard part. There was a shard of rock hidden in the tangle below. I had to move enough to let it support me as the tide went out. The rock felt like home to me. 1 hour. That's how long I would have to hold on. With the tide going out, I'd be above water by then. But without a rock to stand on, it was already too late for Lee Batten.
Still in there. You killed him. You killed him! You killed him. You killed Lee!
What's happened to your sister?
She's all right. She's below, tied up.
My poor sister. There was never much love between us, that's for sure, but somehow I feel sorry for her. How's she gonna face it all? Jail, everything.
Well, she should have thought of the consequences before.
Somehow I feel the sea's to blame for all this. I hate the sea. I hate it.
I'm sorry. Can't let you blame the sea. So far, she's been pretty good to me. Here. Hey, keep your chin up. I'll be back next week at the same time with another sea hunt story. Plan to be with us again, huh?